Welcome to the Real Ref Report, a fun approach to improving officiating.
You suck, ref!
Keeping it real with real perspectives, educating the wrestling community, and building better relationships between officials, coaches, and wrestlers. Together, let's make reffing great again. Now, here's your host, Andy Eichley.
What's up, everybody? My name is Andy Eichley, and happy to be back in podcasting this year. This is season 2, episode 2, and trying something new this year. I'm going to do some short episodes and do some hot topics and try to do it right off the bat when they happen. So if you're not from Washington or you're from a different area, we're just going to talk about a match that happened last night at the Pac Coast Championships. And it was a controversial takedown call, and it was tough because, you know, if you're on one side, you want to take down. If you're on the other side, you don't want to take down. And we just want to, I'm here again to try to connect referees, connect coaches, connect wrestlers and fans, and just try to make it still we're all on the same side. I coached for 15 years and still coach middle school, and I've been on that side. I was one of those people that yelled at refs, and I've been a fan. I still am a fan. Still want to see the referees do a good job. I want to do a good job. And so we're here for the wrestlers, and we want to get it right. So just to start off, I hope you enjoyed the ref rankings post. I made a referee rankings post, and it's just for fun. Some people were kind of upset about it, but one of my goals is to make reffing great again, and hopefully make it appealing to young guys and gals to come and be an official. It's a great way to be a part of the sport. We want to make it a cool thing to do, not like the dark side, as I've said before. So if you're young and you're a big fan of the sport and you want to be involved, and coaching is not something that you can commit to, come be an official with us. We would love to have you and get you trained up to do a great job out there. So without further ado, I'm going to start by just showing this video, and then we can talk about it. So what the situation is, it's the finals at the Pac Coast Championships. I think some of the brackets were over 64 kids, so they had 128 on the bracket, but 80-some kids maybe. Tough tournament, kids from Oregon, Washington, some California, Idaho. So this is the finals. So we have 2 referees out there, and there's about 30 seconds left, and kids behind 2-1. Don't look at the time on the screen is not official. The Washington Wrestling Network has their time on there, but it's not the official time. So make sure that's not something that you're holding us to. But so I'm going to show this video, and just kind of we'll talk about it as we go. So this is the beginning. There's about 17 seconds left here. The kid in the yellow singlet is down by 1 point, and he's working for a takedown here. And some people thought that right here he might have it, but not quite. The kid scrambles out, rolls through, and the referee had given him 2-3 takedown there. And let's go back and watch it one more time. If you're not watching, just a big scramble at the end of a match with a possible takedown, maybe not. So watch it one more time here. This is singlet in yellow, trying to get the takedown here. Right here, he rolls him through. Might have it, but does another little summer cartwheel, and right there is when time runs out. Now, I want us to take a look at what happens here and appreciate this process that these 2 referees make. They met together. They're over there talking about it. We have 2 referee mechanics, and of course, I'm going to pause it right there. You can see how they're meeting, they're talking, and all of us that were in the referee chairs just looked at each other, and we thought that it was not a takedown. And I'll talk about a little bit about why in a minute. But just as coaches, this is what you want. This is what you should want as fans. You know, we have 2 referees. A lot of times they don't talk to each other. They just make the call and go with it. But you see here, they met together before the coach. The coach was at the table, and they decided, to talk about it. And in the end, they decided that, to have a fresh set of eyes. The referee on the outside, he let him know that he did not think it was control beyond reaction time in any of those situations. And so they ended up calling no takedown. So I'm going to pause it at the very end here, where some people thought it might have been a takedown, and talk about what the rules say and what we look for as officials. Because I've screwed up many calls just like this, where we give the takedown a little too early and then we realize it wasn't there and we don't have another official to kind of confer with. So right here, some people think that this is a takedown. And then he gets to be even on his belly right there. And possibly that could be a takedown. But I think time had run out by this point. So let's go back to right here. So this could possibly be considered a takedown. And I'll show you two things that we're looking for when we're looking for control. One is position of advantage, which he does have here. He in this whole situation, he was pretty much in the advantage position. But two, we want restraining power. So you can see based on the scramble that there was not restraining power based on what we saw happen. And so we're taught to kind of hold those calls until we're sure, and not just call it when there's a move hit or the back is exposed or something like that happens. So I'm going to show these two pictures from the rule book. The first one is right here with the wrestler down on his belly. This is picture 27 if you are not watching and you're just listening. So it says there is control by the wrestler here, even though the leg is that the bottom wrestler has his hands locked around the leg. So I've had a lot of coaches tell me, we still have the leg, we still have the leg. And this is control. And what we look for, as you can see in the picture, the leg has beaten the shoulder is what we call it. So if that thigh was up above the shoulder, then we don't give a takedown. But when we see that the thigh has beat that shoulder and they're just kind of reaching back to hold the leg, then we call that a takedown, even though the hands are still locked around the leg. And this can also happen, as you can see in picture 28, without the wrestler being on their belly. So this is control beyond reaction time, even though the hands are locked around the leg. They've hooked the back leg. That's one of the things we look for as well. But that doesn't necessarily have to happen. What we're looking for is that front leg to beat the shoulder. So a lot of times you'll see a kid has the ankle over their shoulder, and that's not a takedown. So what we're looking for is, did they beat that shoulder? So now let's go back to the video at the very end, and I'm going to try to pause it right where some people right here. So he has almost that same position, but you can kind of tell, not really because we're on the backside, but he hasn't beaten that shoulder yet with that front leg. So yes, he has covered the hips. Yes, he has, put his leg over his leg, but the referee actually did give the 3 a little bit before this, which hopefully we can all, when we get to this higher level wrestling, there's just all this scrambling going on, and it's just one of those situations where you want to wait until you're sure. And in this case, based on this picture right here, it does not look like his thigh has beaten that shoulder. And again, I want us to appreciate these referees. They got together, they met about it, and in my opinion, they made the right call. And same with the referees that were in the chairs that were right there. It was right in front of me. There's also a Pac-12 official that was sitting there with us, and he agreed that they should waive it off. So I want to commend these 2 officials for, the official that made the first takedown call to have the humility to waive it off, because he doesn't have to waive it off, even if the second official thinks he should. So kudos to him for changing his call based on what the outside official told him. But it's just one of those calls that's tough. So hopefully we can all understand as fans, we want to see the takedown there, because it's more fun to have the drama, to have the takedown at the end. The kid wins it in the end, but we also want to get the call right. And so if you put yourself in the coach's chair on either side, if you're the coach of the kid that was on bottom, I would say most likely you're going to say that's not a takedown. And if you're the coach of the kid that was on top, you're probably going to say that's a takedown. So if we take everybody's bias out of it, being a fan, being a coach, being a parent, being a wrestler, rooting for somebody, I think hopefully we can all agree that there was no control there when you're thinking what this picture shows and the length of that scramble. So just want to go talk about that, and then I'm going to show a couple quick videos about some calls that I messed up, actually, because I have called takedowns too early, and so that's why as we get better at officiating, we learn from our mistakes. And I'm going to show a couple of my mistakes. So this is one of my favorite segments. So this is called "Ref, You Suck."
The Real Ref Report.
Oh no! We suck again!
Now it's time for
You suck, ref!
Ref, You Suck.
All right. So last year I was at Virginia Beach duels in Virginia Beach, and I was doing the national duels, and it was one of the most fun tournaments I've done. And this is a great duel that I got to do. And this is an example of giving a takedown too early. And I didn't change my call in the moment, but the coach came over and talked to me, and I ended up changing my call because I agreed with him. But in the moment, sometimes we think, oh, was it not? And then we should wave it off, but we just don't. And then because we second guess ourselves and then talk about it, think about what happened. So in this situation, you're going to see the kid has a cow catcher, and he puts him right almost to his back. And most of us would say, oh, that's a takedown. And then all of a sudden it's not. And he's got him back in that front headlock situation. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, dang it, I didn't wave it off. And so now I'm showing that this guy's in control. But if we take a look at this again, he's got the cow catcher, and not many kids are going to get out of this. So I gave the 3, 1001, 1002, 1003, and then he's out of it. So we're talking almost 3 seconds. But when we're looking at this high level wrestling, he didn't have restraining power because he had a position of advantage for a few seconds, but he didn't have restraining power based on what happened. So in that situation, I definitely gave the call too early, ended up fixing it. And, both coaches are happy. I think hopefully coaches can appreciate the fact that, we'll listen. And hopefully if the coach is correct, we can change the call, because sometimes we just don't change the call right in the moment. So that's one that I messed up. And then another one I messed up was at the state tournament last year. And this is actually a match. You can't see the ending of it, so I'll describe it. And I wasn't quite in perfect position because they went a different direction than I was expecting them to. But this is overtime, and the kid gets a takedown that I call, and I got caught looking at his toes. And so I'm looking at his toes, and if you're watching the video, you'll see that he drags his toes, but he's completely extended. And right here, I'm like, ooh, awesome. Like, you can see me looking at his feet. But if you look at the head, he has kind of the near side cradle, and the kid on bottom, he has kind of one leg. And then if I continue it, he goes out of the screen. But you can see the kid that I gave the takedown to is fully extended, and he was reaching for that far leg, and he never covered the hips. And if he would have covered the hips, he would have been out of bounds. And so here's the situation where I got caught looking at the toes thinking, oh, that's a pretty cool takedown, when in reality, that kid didn't cover the hips. He didn't have full control. And, you can see the coach comes over and he talks with me, and I listened to what he had to say. And I just reran that whole thing in my mind, and I thought he was correct. And so you can kind of see us having a discussion, and he's kind of telling me that the kid he was fully extended and he didn't cover the hips. And I agreed with him and said, no takedown. Now, the other coach, of course, he's mad, right? You're going to be mad no matter what side you're on. But I think he was okay with my explanation here. And hopefully, we can appreciate the fact that some of these calls are really tough in the moment. And so if you get an official that will listen, that will change the call if necessary. Again, it's not an easy thing to do. So it's just one of those things. Like, I want to get the call right. And so a lot of times we're going to get the call wrong. But if we can get the call right, most of us that are officiating would like to. Hopefully we all do, but I know that's not the case. I know some of you deal with some officials that are not the greatest. But that's just part of dealing with sports, right? So again, just a couple things we want to talk about here. I want to do some of these shorter, quick podcasts to kind of go over some things that happen in real time while they're fresh in our minds. So if you've got questions, feel free to send them to me at therealrefreport@gmail.com. You can also contact me on Instagram. That might be even quicker and easier. Send me videos that you have that we can analyze. We'll do some of that. So Instagram is The Real Ref Report as well. But these are all tough calls, whether, again, if whatever side you're on, you're going to want to go your kid's way. And as an official, I think we should try to get the call right. And that's what these guys did, right or wrong. You're going to get, a lot of times you're going to have different opinions, even from multiple officials. So in this case, my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion and the opinion of some of the officials that I talked to, this was not a takedown just because the control wasn't there. And based on the scrambling that we saw, it was a great scramble, great ending to a match. But at the end of the day, I think if you had some college officials reviewing that, if we had video review, I'm 90% sure that they would have said no takedown. So that's going to be it for this podcast. I'm just doing some of these quick ones. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And I'm actually going to be on tomorrow with Bob Turner again. We're going to be talking about illegal holds. So looking forward to that. And yeah, so appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Happy New Year, and hope you had a great Christmas. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening and keeping it real with The Real Ref Report. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review. And be sure to follow Andy on Instagram and YouTube at The Real Ref Report. Thanks again for listening as we make reffing great again.